Hello everybody and welcome to my Ascension Messages. My name is Bobby and I will be your guide for today. Today I'm going to do some channel messages. Thursday I bring in a bit of tarot just to have some fun with the tarot, but Tuesdays is usually my channel messages. I am a seer, and when I turned 50, all of that stopped. Like, I used to see a lot of stuff, and then and I'm talking spirits, guides, ETs, you name it, I've seen it. And those that have passed over, all sorts of things. And I mean, see with my physical eyes, not within my mind or anything. And then that all stopped when I turned 50, and they said that I'll be channeling. And then I started to channel these messages through. So there's some powerful messages that are wanting to come through about the magic of us. Also, before I start, I have a brand new channel. It's called Codes to a New Reality. I am so excited about this channel because my team is bringing through the most powerful, beautiful messages for you to experience. They're all like 3 to 10 minutes long. I just did a pretty long one. It was 8 minutes long. And that was all about the hidden codes of the trickster. And it's going to help awaken a lot of people. So I'm really, really excited about this new channel. It's only been 2 weeks and we already have 70 subscribers. So I'm so excited about that too. Every day we get at least a few new subscribers. Very, very cool. Hi, Yannicka, good to see you. You love my new channel. It's super, isn't it? But I will keep doing the lives on this channel, and on that channel will be the pulled together messages about these hidden codes. It's literally revealing the other side of the coin of why we're being so repressed and everything, and it's just giving you a lot more information. You could also have confirming thoughts, and you have these ideas already within you, and it sparks them as, yes, this is the truth. Okay, because it's, we're all one here, and in the end we all know these things, but it's so deeply, darkly hidden underneath so much programming that they're little fleeting thoughts within you, and so it's just pulling it into our reality again. So they are hidden, but it depends on who you are as well as to how hidden. Okay, so we're coming up to the masculine energy, or the our own look at life in a grounded way, starting to expand, which is an uprise in the masculine energy. They will be going through shadow work now, like a lot of them going through some pretty powerful shadow work. It's going to be confusing. They might attack. There could be some real, I don't want to know about this. And that's because all of the stuff that they have been over generations within themselves, and we're talking lifetimes after lifetimes that the soul has experienced on this planet, repressing the feminine side to feel powerful. And the feminine side to me is the imagination, the ability to shift stories very quickly without a logical base. So that means something changes in your reality that appears to be magic. And these sort of things are going to start to solidify in our reality, or become real, more real in our reality, or accepted in our reality. Because the male waking up, or the masculine side of us are waking up to take the power back of understanding that they were never supposed to suppress that which could shift a story. And then the feminine are like, oh my God, I feel safe now. I feel safe to be the magical, wonderful person that I am, that can create magic and shift the story very quickly. And when that happens, it's a trust game within ourselves, of trusting the magic that we are pulling into our reality. And it's a very vulnerable time at the moment, because the masculine doing the shadow work is, when the feminine did the shadow work, everything was all the victimized state of awarenesses. And we have both masculine and feminine within us. I'm not picking on one or the other. It's all within us, but some carry more of a masculine sort of a vibration with them, because they're supposed to be the grounders of this reality, and some of us are more feminine based. That's all that is. But and it's split in our reality as the male female. It's just split that way so that we can get the story is within us, but it's split on the outer, because it's the first split that happens within humanity's consciousness. So one is asking to feel safe, to be able to expand magic out to this world. In other words, be able to shift the story and not get trodden on and made feel small and persecuted and all of that. And so we've had the feminine have had to do the shadow work and saying, I take responsibility for my own magic, for the person that I am, for being able to bring in things that are unusual, new stories and that sort of thing, imaginations, ground them on this world. But I had to look for that stability within myself. And then that anchored in saying, no, I am allowed to be powerful enough to be able to shift the story, meant that the masculine had to start to awaken, because every time it went to make the feminine feel small, the feminine stood up and said, no, and there's my boundary, and I walk away if you don't support me, because I know I'm going to find someone else. So they literally, the feminine side went into the hermit safety net of the hermit place, back within their own walls of their homes and stuff like that, and went, I'm going to keep powering myself up. I'm going to keep powering myself. I'm shifting the story. So they start shifting the story from the safety net of their own, where they are. And they might not have partners or something to be able to, or people outside of them to really support that. They'll seek them, and they might find them, but they are quite happy at the moment to be on their own if they had to be. And then over the other side, the masculine is now having to face themselves and go, oh my God, I really want love in my life. I want to support something of love. I want to ground love into my life. I want to ground a new story. My story is not feasible. I'm getting up and going to work and feeling bored, and it's just the same story, round and round and round in circles. That is now looking at itself, and when it looks at itself, it has to then adjust to the fact that it's been repressing a part. They have been repressing a part of themselves that could shift the story. So what happens then when the masculine side of ourselves really fully awaken, and then it's showing up outside of ourselves as the masculine awakening, is that we start to come together and we feel the love within each other. Oh, I'm here to help give you a supportive place so that you can feel safe enough to expand our reality into something beautiful and wonderful. And we can bring in magic, and we can bring in telepathy and all these gifts that we were suppressed, telekinesis, teleportation. Then we're no longer used by the trickster. And the trickster was the last video that I put up on my my new channel, Codes to a New Reality. The link is down below. Hidden codes of the trickster. So all of this is relevant, and it's like the stories are pulling together to understand ourselves more at a core level, so that we can become all-encompassing a powerful, magnificent, authentic self. Whether you are female or male, you have both within you. And so the males are then like, oh, we can shift the story. I can look at that, and I am not seen as a feeble person, which I've been putting down that side of myself for so long. that I see them outside of myself as somebody who's weak, as somebody who's crazy, as somebody who's not authentic, as somebody who's, and then you're like, oh my God, that is part of me. That part that I've been pushing away and pushing down and suppressing is actually a part of me. And it's not only just part of me, it's exciting, it's something that's very, very powerful. And so our reality starts to bring in magic, where we are painting the story, the magic back into the story. And we're weaving it into our story. And we're saying that can exist at the same time as the stability of the logical, lineal line of story, as in birth to death, where everything is a lineal way of thinking, a very logical way of thinking. And so we can start to bring in that magical self, where we are now taking on the thoughts outside of that which has been grounded, meaning it brings in a dreamlike feeling, but in a grounded way. Imagine being there's a clarity that has to come with this, because it's no longer a fight between within and without, and outside of us, and the inner core, the feelings, and the outer look at all of our reality. We're starting to embrace it all. We come into clarity, because the friction between everything was causing mayhem within us, causing illness within our bodies, and not because it's not suited to how we want to feel in this world. And all of this, they're bringing me to the void. They're bringing me to a conscious person that can always come back to a central self that is feeling very calm. And now they're showing me, when I did step into that new earth, that clarity. There's clarity. Now, when there's clarity, it means that you can shift a story, as in magically. I don't need to ground this in a sense of having to create it all outside of myself before it becomes. It literally can manifest within my hand, because of the clarity that I have in knowing the power of myself to be able to do that. So that's how the magic gets pulled in, through the acceptance of the feminine side and the masculine side agreeing that we can shift the story very quickly. And then we start to live not only in the 3D world that is not going to disappear. The whole reason why we went through the huge long journey that we went through of us looking outside of ourselves to create, and it's a very linear story, and everything has a story. Like, if you want to make something, you have to go find the substance, you have to go make the thing. If you want to make a chair, you have to go, seek out the wood, the dying tree or the tree that's fallen, chop it up and go through the process, right? You have to go through the physical process. That is because logic was only in charge. And it poo-pooed anything that saw magic. It poo-pooed it because it didn't understand that you didn't have to go through the long process of creating the chair as it is. Now the stability of that is still within us. It's still present within humanity's consciousness. We don't want to get rid of that. We want to embrace that as, wow, I physically made this. But also to bring in the awareness that one could, if they wanted to, manifest the chair immediately through absolute focus, and knowing that you can shift the story within yourself, and that is absolutely possible too, because we are all just energy going on a journey, and anything reflected outside of us is that journey. They're telling me the quickening of one's response from within them, shifting the story. And so it becomes immediate outside of us. But there has to be a returning back to the void, a clarity. Now they're showing me myself going on the when I was camping and I wanted to experience this, that if everything that I'm thinking and feeling is manifested immediately outside of myself, then magic can happen. So I can just sit on this grassy field and not look where I'm looking. It's just pick a blade of grass with my eyes closed, and it will be a 4-leaf clover. And it was an immediate, because I had already learned within my mind to still my thoughts for a moment, for at least, even if it is a few seconds. If you can harness that void energy within you, that void energy is an empty mind. Nothing exists. You don't exist. Nothing exists. But within that void of nothing existing, everything exists. All potential is there, and it's your focus, your deciding with absolute clarity that will become. And that is needing that masculine mind to really let go, like really, really be just not observing, not anything. It is just absolutely let go for something to manifest like that. And it's a trick within oneself, because we are so programmed to think logically and outside of ourselves. But this is the magic that humanity is raising their vibration into. It is an expansion from the practical playing field that we've been living in, a story that has to have something coming to, an actual reason, like the tree, the wood, the chopping of the wood, the tools to chop the wood, all of that. That is accepted by the logical mind as, yes, our reality goes like this, and so it will be. That is still absolute. You could still do that. Now, that will mean it will eliminate all lack of in the abundance field. And my next video that I'm putting up is, they already channeled it through, all about the hidden codes of abundance. And then the one after that, this is for my new channel, Codes to a New Reality. And the one after that is going to be on the Ark of the Covenant. So, yeah, these are the stories that are coming through, and my team has been so great with me with this. So we are getting to this point where magic will happen before us. So we're going to have a lot more of those stepping forward, children born with this magic ability. Oh my gosh, you're telepathic, and now we're experiencing it. The animals that we work through that are actually pressing the button. The reason why they can press the button is that they're already telepathic anyway. So when you're speaking to them, they're not necessarily, they can hear the odd command of a word. They can remember the odd command of a word. I'm not saying they can't, but it's very limited within that memory space that they can hold. Most of their understanding actually comes from telepathy. And when we start to realize, well, how do they know those words? It's a telepathic response. They feel it from you, and they see an image in their head of what you want them to do, and so they do it. Now, children are going to be born with these abilities, more and more and more of them, because we've opened the vortex of finding balance within us. If you are going to be a parent in these next decades and so forth, and you've done the shadow work and you feel very centered within yourself, you might not have the magic because you're still holding on to that logical program a little bit too much. That's been your reality, but you could give birth to someone because you've opened the channel up for that frequency to come in that has the already balanced state. And all babies do, it's just programmed out of them. And so you start to teach them that that is acceptable, that magic is acceptable in our world. And magic becomes a normal word. We're normalizing magic as a part of our reality. It's not something to repress or hide from or be in fear of either, because the ability to be able to bring in that means you would have had to gain central compassionate understanding of oneself, that you are both the inner and the outer existence of your reality. These are the codes that have been holding us, and it's not until you become in alignment with yourself in that respect. I support my magical side of myself fully. And I will look for in my outer world those that respond in a way of acceptance of that magical self until I find them. So we've got these quite a few that are waking up all at the same time now. And so we can come together. But at first, it was a very difficult journey because you're waking up, you had to do it all on your own. So there was a lot of hermit people in hermit stage. But it actually excelled when we all were returned home in 220 through you know what. They actually excelled the progression of humanity. They didn't realize that they were. They're like, oh, we'll control them. We'll send them home. Yeah, so we all got sent home. And then we went, oh, I want to do the inner work. Here's my chance to do my inner work. I don't have to get up and do all the traveling and do all the outer work anymore. I'm at home, so I'll do the inner work. And a lot of us actually ended up waking up in that moment to realizing, especially the feminine, let's use this moment, these years, to do more inner work and see how we can shift our reality, and look at that. So the feminine had a chance to do the inner work around the whole world. That's pretty cool. And when you see it from that perspective, source energy, the prime creator, the oneness within humanity's consciousness, it is an absolutely beautiful, magnificent story of you can't hide from the fact that you are returning back to that. Everything will have to shift because we're coming closer to the core love of self, and everything that isn't resonating with that core love of self, the original programming, the original natural program that we were here to learn about, is has to align with love. So everything else that isn't aligned with that original programming, which comes only from love anyway, is going to be showing up in our reality as an awful feeling or a mess or things just not going well. And so your integrity will be held in the fact that if you step out of your own integrity, you will be slapped down. And then you have to look at yourself in that respect. I mean, this weekend, I literally had that. A couple of things, it wasn't much. It was just a couple of things where I didn't realize I was in my program, and I'm readjusting myself to aligning what is my original program within the integrity space of myself, and what is a trying to make something happen, forcing someone outside of myself to look at me because I want to feel important, that sort of thing. It was a very minor thing, but it was still enough for me to readjust myself. And these are the blessings that we get, because if we don't feel into those moments and see the vulnerable moments, because you're like, oh my God, I lost myself for a minute there. I was trying to force something outside of myself to show up in a way that I didn't feel that way within myself. And it's in controlling. So, these, even if it's slight, it can affect you quite a bit, because you're like, oh, I thought I cleared it, but it's okay. Just go through the feeling, feel into the story, feel into that, like feel into if you feel like you've lost your integrity for a moment or whatever it is, just feel into it and then readjust yourself to, oh yes, okay, it has to come from within me before I can make it be seen outside of me, because that means that you are supporting who you are fully. And that means that if anyone comes at you, it was really interesting. I'm not going to tell you the whole story, but this, whatever happened to me, happened early in the morning. And then the same similar thing happened in the afternoon, in the nighttime, after I had gone through the healing. So it was the same similar stories, two stories. One was in the morning, and I totally broke down because I didn't realize where I was going with my energy, that it was a little graspy and or whatever, so I broke down, I looked at myself, I did the healing, I took the deep breath. I actually took the day off. I just went, I'm taking the day off and I'm working on this because it's more important than a dribble of money coming in, because I need to get alignment within myself. And then by the nighttime, the same sort of similar story came up again in my reality, but I reacted differently. I was empowered. I knew who I was. I responded totally differently, and I was in my power, and it was over within moments, back to just, me and my authentic truth of who I am. So you can heal yourself a lot quicker these days as we go along. And this is why the magic is going to start to show up. And you can bring in the magic. They're saying just because you had, a lifetime so far, I'm 57, I've had a lifetime of living that practical way of needing the story to be developed in a logical manner that was acceptable by the outside world. There is no reason why you can't shift your story into allowing real present magic to come into your reality. This is one of the reasons why we start off with small things like numbers appearing outside of ourselves, weird coincidences, weird coincidental stories, that sort of thing, which is happening with me as well. And then we grow from that. Okay, so I shifted the story by focusing on that story. I shifted it to this story very quickly. So that means that I can shift it even more so. They're showing me the things that are aligned with you, and you meeting people that are aligned with a similar story of what you know from your soul story. So your soul story held all that magic, held all that wisdom. It knows and understands a lot more. And when you're supporting your feminine side from within yourself, example like the imagination, the intuition, are showing me this showing up outside of yourself. It could be that you just meet someone for an hour or two, or you have a friend around you that is, they're showing me it being sparse at the moment, but that will become more and more and more as you become more aligned with the acceptance of who you are as a soul. It's been a process. Like we meet soul tribe members and that sort of thing, and then they move away for a while, and then we go and do some work, and then we meet up again, or we find new ones or whatever. It's a frequency process, and it's helping us navigate the shifting of something that has been very strong in humanity's reality to a more expansive, open-ended, magical reality, being grounded on this planet where we don't have to follow or trust someone outside of ourselves, because we hold more understanding and power from understanding our feelings now. Yeah, just see if there's anything else going on. Hey, everybody in the chat bar. Yannicka, Caroline Bird. Hey, Sky. Yeah, I met up with Caroline the other day and we had a cuppa. It was really beautiful. It was fun. Healing with you. Good to see you all in the chat bar. Thank you for being present and holding the energy for me, with me as well, so we can channel these messages through together. What do we need to know now in this moment to bring through the magical reality that we want to bring through? So there's been a lot of us that were born with this understanding of the magic that could be brought through. But even so, in this world, it wasn't as bad. We weren't completely persecuted, put to death or anything like that, but we still were put down, belittled, that sort of thing. Be there for each other. Be there for each other. If you see somebody being belittled for being a magical, wonderful, authentic self, be there for them. Support that. That is you supporting yourself. That is a reflection of you supporting yourself. Now, if you're like, if you're still running the program in your head, yeah, but then they might become all that and I won't. That sort of vibration will keep you small. It will keep you in a limited place until because you're not really fully seeing the power of who you are. And when you see the power of who you are and take that back, then there is no sort of jealousy outside of you whatsoever, because you see how wonderful and exciting you are, and the differences as well, and this is the reason why they're bringing in at the moment the hidden codes of abundance. All of that is going to shift, because we are going to be asked to be seeing things from a new perspective, from the perspective of the feminine side. They're also showing me a lot of repression in countries and religions and stuff like that. A repression around those that were held more a very, 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 very powerful magic within the feminine side would have been repressed, really repressed. So if you come from a place that was really, really repressed, then that is literally, they're showing me the other side of that is so powerful. So remember that your power is always reflected by the repression it had to be, or the lack, which meant that the masculine was, and this is all in my trickster, hidden codes through trickster, the masculine had to be all that powerful as well. So go take a look at that. That's a very eye-opening story that they brought through hidden codes. Hey, Celtic, good to see you, John. And the Miramelli, I think it's the Miramelli before. Narcissistic attacks will keep coming regardless. I feel we just need to get above it. If you're still finding it's, you know what, that as the masculine is awakening, they at the beginning they will attack. It's kind of like the feminine when they were awakening more. I mean, this is all going to go, I'm not saying that's it, no more feminine waking or anything like that. It's still a pull. They always show me a wave of things happening, and a wave of more people going through these experiences. But the first wave will be able to help the second wave, and so forth, and it becomes more and more and more. But as these first waves of masculine really starting to take their power back, the first thing that happens is that you have to play out all of that was that kept you in locked in that story. And so the narcissist might show up as and that's why we need to really see that as our boundary as we move forward, and not get too attached into their story as they do the healing, so that they could do the healing on their own, just like feminine had to do the healing on their own, and the masculine within you. And I mean, I have masculine within me too. I have to do that healing on my own in myself as well. So yes, they will. There is a showing up, but there's also the ability or capability to know that I just won't get entangled in that story anymore. I don't need it, because I've empowered my feminine side. Also the fact that when you do come from a very strong stability within yourself, you could just confront them really easily and then move on. Like, boom, this is the truth, move on. And they take from it what they want. Their stories will shift as they want. You don't need to be responsible for how that story is seen. But see, they'll get bombarded by all of these awoken females. One there, one there, one there. Oh my God. And then they have to look at themselves, because this isn't a separation thing. This isn't more of a separation thing where they're going to be over there and they're poor. This is more of an awakening thing, because the whole of humanity's consciousness is wanting to lift itself into a higher frequency and be part of that story. And we want to bring as many people as possible. It's the whole reason why we decided, as so-called missions, as souls that were born with the awareness of our connection to our soul, to be born in the now, to be able to help awaken as many as possible. But we had to find a solid standing ground from within ourselves first, before we can actually go, yeah, I'll help you for a second, I'm moving on after that. So you're not entangled in the story, but the guidance is still there with those. And that's because you found the ability to center yourself, to fully center yourself after you've, had a little bit of an entanglement, standing your ground, saying who you are, feeling proud of yourself, and moving on. You have to move on. You have to come back to the central self and know. And that's why you would have had to already have been taught how to self-talk, how to change the way you talk to yourself, which was part of the lesson before, and it still is ever present until that it becomes a norm. It starts to become a norm. So all of this is relevant to more magic coming in. So we want to get back to the actual topic here of magic coming in. The thing is, everything is very relevant. So it will always go back to how we're adjusting ourselves into these new frequencies, which are always, it's just a presence within oneself of a new perspective of how we look at life, so that we're no longer controlled by anything outside of us. And the awakening is all of humanity recognizing their own self empowerment, who they are from not just this life, but many lives before as well. And it might not come as a storyline, but you will all of a sudden get the gifts. So that's the magic. All of a sudden you're like, I am so passionate about knowing, how to manipulate fire, or I'm so passionate about moving this object. You would have already have had things that your soul knows coming through dreams. So many of your dreams up till now, and especially in the decades just gone, would have brought up abilities. So one of mine is telepathy, telekinesis, those ones come up quite a lot in my dreams, and predictions, that sort of thing. All of those sort of magical things are still showing up in your dreams, because when you go to sleep, your soul is free again to be authentic. It's not taken over by the program, as in when you're woken. So it awakes, it is awakening. And so but it's not grounded, so it's very dreamlike, all over the show. And a lot of my dreams, I teach people how to fly because I'm teaching them how to raise their frequency into a higher frequency. Is there anything else that's coming through at the moment, please, to help us? So this is a process, and it's only just starting. We have pierced through the veil of magic being grounded or grounding, because there are certain males that have done their own work and have awoken enough, at least, for more females or feminine natured people to find stability in this world within themselves. They might not have met them, but they're at least acknowledging that stability within themselves. I tell myself beautiful things about myself. I think beautiful things about myself and the magic that I have. So there are those that have awoken to the masculinity and the fact that they're here to support the feminine side, to be able to shift a new story, so that we don't need to have the trickster in our life anymore, the narcissist in our life anymore. Let's see if there's anything else. And if anyone has a question, I'm happy to answer it as well. I keep forgetting to say that in the chat bar. I'm always open to questions. So, yeah, the magic being grounded is going to be it's going to be completely up to you what you're going to be grounding. But you'll feel more of a pull towards learning about that. Or they're showing me it depends, because if you have been here life after life after life, and you've known all of this magic, you've wielded stories, you've shifted things quickly, you haven't no logical reason for it to shift, you've had the ability to do that. It could be part of your mission where that bit is woken, so that you can be part of the matrix that's going around the world. There's an integral kind of a vibe or energy field that is coming together of many that are so-called witches holding codes, that know how to shift stories, awakening first, because they're the ones that also come together with the light workers or the star beings that have come from other planets and other frequencies on Earth, that know how to shift the story from that soul's life, that coming together with them to bring in a better, even more fuller matrix around. They're showing me like a matrix around the Earth. Nothing is as it seems. So we're using things in the logical way. We're using things in the logical mind, stories in the logical mind, to bring this to light. but they're also telling me nothing is as it seems. So even if I say a globe or a whatever, it's only because that's held in the logical mind. But everything has only been energy coming from your reality out. And the story develops from there of the acceptance of the whole of humanity's consciousness. So the whole of humanity's consciousness is an agreement to this is what the story is, and so be it, the story becomes. That there is a natural story there that has evolved. But if we go to the core of source energy and you being source energy creating a new story, even that can change. So they're showing me a matrix around, this is just a way to show you, like a light matrix around the earth, and then it's like sparse to begin with the light, with the star beings and the light workers that are coming from different dimensions on earth that have been born through they're usually born through the witches. They're usually being born through those that have held the codes for eons. And then they were born, so then they awoke, they were already intact with their understanding of their soul's lineage, but they were repressed, and then they had to awaken themselves. So it's been like that sort of a game with them. Yes, I know myself. No, I don't. Oh my God. And now it's like, oh, I have to give that to myself. No longer looking outside myself for anyone to give it to me. I'm giving it to me now who have got stability. And so they awoke, and then they awoke the ones that were holding the codes, which were the parents, the sisters, the siblings, that sort of thing, that the so-called witches and wizards that held the codes for eons and were persecuted for doing so. Held the feminine aspect of humanity. And now they're showing me more, it gets more intricate. The matrix becomes more intricate. We're starting to see a tapestry that we have not seen before on this planet. It will become even more so when the masculine awaken, and more so, and it's just not, it's like this beautiful tapestry of a whole other world being created because of the magic coming back into our reality, but also knowing how we navigated our life in the past logically. So universe, we become the creator of seeing more stars. We literally will look out into the night sky and go, I see more. And so science lets go enough for this to happen. But science is still relevant to the fact of how everything works in a practical playing way. You can shift the story that way. You can shift the story through the awareness of one's vibration, lifting into more, where you look at the stars and more appear, because that which was hidden was in the higher frequencies, and you're now matching the higher frequencies. And so therefore the planets and everything that are in the solar system become fruitful with life, because you are matching the frequency that they were always residing in. But they weren't out of balance. So if they're not out of balance, when an out of balance frequency comes in, it only sees sparseness. It sees, they're showing me Venus, storms, and acid rain and all of that, because they can't pierce through a veil that their mind hasn't been in frequency of. So that's where even more magic comes in now, because they're showing me outside of ourselves, looking outside of ourselves, and magic starts to show up in the form of benevolent beings, and those that have been held in a higher frequency where we couldn't see before. We are literally shifting the everything about ourselves, literally transforming like a butterfly. This is why the codes and the humanity's consciousness were held by many insects, animal life, that sort of thing. They were the stabilization of many codes hidden, where science improved so much that they found that animals worked with energy. Actually, and that was brought up in my Amical lesson. I just put up an Amical lesson of moving with the earth, being able to communicate with the earth. So all of these animals were holding understandings that humanity would only be able to understand, how they, like birds navigate and all of that, without having a navigational system, you know, being able to chit chat through walkie-talkies to each other. Oh, you're going to turn left. Oh, yeah. But they are an emergence of a collective energy field that understands that they are all one, and humanity is going to grow into or expand out of, and both is the same, the understanding or awarenesses of this, the magic even that the animals held, and that if they are observing it, or it's in their reality, then it can exist within them, because you can't see anything outside of yourself. Reality is only a play out of who we are in the inner core aspect of ourselves. Our conscious awareness is expanding. Our physical bodies, and that already held everything within it to be able to have that. It's just that we repressed it. And so we navigated this world in a very repressed way, where we only saw the physical. But it was all meant to happen that way, so that we could carve a stronger path in the physical world. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Hey, Horse Haven, I haven't seen you for a while. That's good to see. Yeah, so if anyone hasn't seen my new channel, Coast to a New Reality, go check it out. I think there's 6 videos up there now. And weekly and bi-weekly, I'll be putting up new videos on that as we go along, depending on how many. And sometimes there's been 2 a week at the moment, because my team is just pulling these codes through me. So beautiful. I feel very honored. I feel very honored that I'm very lucky to have these codes, and that that we have chosen each other. I should say we have chosen each other. Okay. Is there anything else about the magic? The power of the feminine, standing in its own power, but not abusing it. There could be a fluctuation of some that come into power but still haven't found balance, so they flip-flop from, they abuse it, and that could show up in our reality for a little bit. They're showing me it won't be for long, because it will feel uncomfortable. The power of the feminine taking over will feel too uncomfortable for them, because they are also grounding this in this stable world, and they have to acknowledge that masculine side and the beauty that the masculine side has brought us into a physical world that's separated, where we can actually tangibly touch things. I mean, we couldn't feel something like that on our fingers if we were just in the soul, you know, in the feminine side. It wouldn't feel the same. It'd be dreamlike, and in dreams, feelings are very hard to come by, like the actual tangible feeling of something. You have feelings within you, but so we're very lucky to have this beautiful playing ground that the masculine has brought in. And if we see it like that, the feminine sees it like that, wow, we've got more of a playground that we can ground our magic into. That's awesome. Where in the Atlantis and Lemuria age, it was more story that was malleable. More dreamlike story. There was some tangible evidence, absolutely, but it wasn't as strong. So we're bringing all that magic back, but we're also in a more practical playing field as well, where something can be separated from something to be able to, but it's all putting it back into balance, where we're coming into feeling love for both sides, and feeling really happy about the fact that we're in this place now where we feel we're talking to our self-talk has shifted, our stability is stronger within our own feelings, and we're no longer having relationships outside of us that are wishy-washy or codependence as well. We're going to, many more magical things will come in. Crystals will give more wisdom. Animals, everything will have more wisdom to it, because we're starting to become telepathic with it. We feel into, we get more wisdom, we grow, we expand, we understand frequencies more, but we also understand that the practical playing field of how things work and how we can build tools and put things together too. So yeah, I think I'm just going over it a bit at the moment. So I don't think that there's anything else at the moment, guys. Miramella, breaking it, shifting it, we are the creators and we are remembering this. We create our story. Yes. But we are, that in itself is a process too, that we're the creators of our own reality, because there is a lot of navigation here of programs being dismantled that aren't conducive to the powerful, authentic you. And it's up to you from your inner core out how much you dismantle those programs and still understand the program that's relevant, the natural order of things, and then bringing back that magic. That natural order of things is bringing back the magic. That is part of humanity. We always had that ability. It was just repressed. And it was suppressed at a time when we wanted to learn more about the practical playing field. And it was all relevant. So we don't see the story or the trickster or the narcissist as such a bad thing, because we've repressed that feminine aspect within ourselves. We've repressed that magical side within ourselves. And so we have to take responsibility for that before we can navigate and shift the story. Yeah. Sounds like we passed sky. Sounds like we have passed some kind of threshold, or we have cleared enough and the magic is starting to show up. Yes, because the feminine did the shadow work, and now the masculine is now awakening to their own shadow work, recognizing that they have repressed the feminine side. Then they awaken the feminine side within themselves, and so that they always start to be repressed, which means that the feminine side, or the females, are starting to be able to feel safer in this world because they're not being picked on so much. But we have to be be aware that as they go through this shadow stuff, there could be some that could attack because you're facing it, and so the attacking happens. You will be put in a position of empowerment if it ever comes in front of you, where if you've done enough work on yourself, you'll be able to stand up and move on, like I said before, very quickly. But that brings in more magic, because then you are using all of your focus attention into realizing how incredibly magical you are, with all of the abilities above, like telekinesis, premonition, dreams, all of that sort of stuff, teleportation, even more than that. There's just so much more that is hidden within the vortex of the feminine being repressed. There's so much more. But we don't want to be using it to put down or shame even the narcissists. We just tell them the truth, boom, and move on. That's how strong we become, because we can always shift them out of our reality as well. We say to ourselves, I've had enough of that story. then all you need to do is come back to the central self of who you are, the core aspect. Take a deep breath. I know who I am in this very present moment. I am nothing and yet I am everything. I shift my story towards what I really love, what I want to create. And you keep doing that until you start to see it manifest outside of yourself. But it will manifest more outside of ourselves once that masculine has really started to awaken to their power, that they had to be of equal power to the feminine to be able to repress it. So if they thought that the feminine was really too powerful to navigate, they already find the key and the code within the fact that they have repressed us, so they had to be the same power. And same goes vice versa for the feminine. That is in my trickster code, awakening code on my new channel. Okay, guys, I think that's about enough. I love your company, though. I just love your company. We will do some tarot, have fun with some tarot on Thursday. Yeah, anyways, so I will see you then, and look out for the new Hidden Codes of Abundance is the next one coming. Just started that one, but I've already written down a lot of the hidden codes to the Ark of the Covenant. So that's another powerful story that needs to be revealed as well. Love you guys heaps. Until next time. Bye.